allows us to be able to find those cold spots. So you should be able to see me in there, red, orange, and yellow guy. Yep. So literally, like Ray said, I'm the warmest thing in here. So with that, this is actually going to work tonight. So that means I'm the hottest thing inside the video right now. Yeah, so normally if you were a drunken bridal party, that kills, by the way. Somebody's falling over. Sure. My wife hates it, but I use it anyway.
I'm sure your wife hates that one.
But we're looking for blue and black.
Okay.
So blue and black spots are going to be the colder areas in there. I also have this video set up to where there's a blue dot bouncing around the screen. So you could probably see that bouncing in the top right corner for the window, because glass is always going to be colder than everything else. It is there for your reference, so when you get your video back, it helps guide your eye to where the coldest spot might be. Okay. Now, we are at, I forget what our temperature was for tonight. I want to say it was like 79 degrees. Yes, I keep track of all of our sciencey, nerdy stuff. So 79 degrees tonight. I look for 15-degree temperature drops. So I'm going to be looking for 64 degrees and colder when it comes to that blue dot. Okay. So if something else pops up on there, you'll obviously get a screenshot that's separated from the video so you can actually see what I found. In the events that we find, and when I say I'm looking for blue and black to be able to take shape or start moving on its own, I want heads, shoulders, moving arms and legs. Like when we have captured things with this, that's what we've caught. Is it every night? It is not. But if we're not recording, we're not going to capture it. So I get probably about 5 or 6 of those solid pieces a year where I can honestly say, by verifying with another camera, that there was nobody there and it is a blue entity walking towards the camera. So it's a lot of fun when we capture it, but it is a holy shit moment. I'm just going to put it out there. So this camera isn't always a real-time camera, meaning because it's so small, I don't always follow up with it in real time. That's kind of a good and bad thing. I send these videos to YouTube so that way you guys can watch them on your TV sets. I watch them on a computer screen. So that way it's much, much bigger. So because... Andre, you're kind of the quiet one out of the two of you. This one's going to go to you, so you're going to handle this right-handed. Do not handle the camera itself. It will pop out of there. That is your start and stop.
Whenever it's at 65.
60?
Now it says 17.9.
Yeah, what now?
It said live. It's at 24.1.
Holy cow. So the 65 is relevant. The other ones are weird because we're still pretty close to like the sidewalks. There are sidewalks, and I don't expect it to go that high. The parking meters, electrical lines make it go off. But usually up to like a 7 to a 10, never like a 24 to a 65. So again, I didn't pick this corner on purpose. I picked it because there's no cars here. So kind of keep that in mind too. I'm going to write down the 24 and 65, and then you had another. What was the other one?
Minus 17.
17. So right now we're going to make your base at 25, just because you've gone way above that already. So this space in particular, do you have anything going on over there?
I got an E.
An E already.
JJE.
So do you see the little red dot on the bottom? So there's a little dial below it. I want you to turn it counterclockwise till it stops. You're cranking it all the way up. No, I'm sorry. Did I say counterclockwise?
Yeah.
I meant clockwise. My apologies. Sorry, I'm not holding it. Yep, you got it. So you're going to get more letters, but you may get some interference, which is perfectly fine. The first time we've ever used that here, maybe the second time, we actually had a full anagram of the lead person of our history's name. But it was an anagram with one interference of one letter, and once I tell you the person's name, you're going to see why I got all excited. But anyway, welcome to the Charles and Eliza Pinckney Mansion site. So their mansion actually sat in the front where those people are getting in their car over there.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep, and their Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant and came all the way across, and we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. So first off, people with communication devices, which is basically everybody, because you're all going to be helping out with communication. I'm not going to be giving you questions like what color was George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the big red barn. I'm going to start withholding information starting with this location. So, who the heck were these people? They had a son named Charles, they had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Chucks, in case you lost count of how many there were. That's why we look for secondary clues. I need to know which Charles is actually coming through, just in case we do get the name Charles. So, the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. That's a big deal for us, but I hate politics more than everybody here. So we're going to move on. We're going to talk about Eliza instead. This is her story, hence why I'm excited about the E that's showing up as soon as we came into this space already.
E-L-Y-O-S. Which probably means nothing.
E-L-Y-O-S.
We got another L and an L.
Okay.
It's $5,000.
We get a lot of those, like, hey, $1,000, $5,000, those kind of things. And I try to, like, find what they bought the mansion for or how much it cost to build it, those kind of things. I can't find any records for it whatsoever. Not that it isn't relevant, because at the same time, if I ask what color is the big red barn and you hear Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, all I need is red. So out of that 5,000, I might only need the number 5 because your spirit box is slow.
It's true.
So, but anyway, back to Eliza. We're going to talk about her. Her history is much more engaging than just the two declaration signers. But anyway, Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards. I say that because if you're going to ask her how old she was, you're not going to hear numbers like 12 and 14 from the colonial times that she came from.
It was at 31.7.
Okay, thank you. I'll have to remember that and write it down, or if you want to remember it for me. So, think of today's standards because her husband was over double her age when they married. Kind of a creepy age gap in the 1700s, a creepy age gap now. So kind of put that in perspective when you guys are asking that question. Anyway, she married her husband, Charles, because her father thought he was dying. He's over in England. Saturday nights. You guys should have seen the parade that went by last night. That was crazy. There was probably like 30 bikes going up.
Wow.
Yeah, so I had to stop for like 5 minutes. But anyway, back to Eliza. Her father's over in England. He's trying to bring all of his children home. Eliza doesn't believe he's dying. She stays put, gets married. It's 1744. You don't get married in that particular year to get a green card. We're not a country yet. So she did marry him out of love. Don't poke the bear on this. This is a very prominent English woman. So this is like a be very respectful while we're here kind of place. But anyway, back to Eliza. She was right. Dad did not die right away. Instead, he started sending her gifts from England to where you're standing right now. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. You've been in town for at least an hour that I know of. You've seen the word indigo in that hour. Like, that's how many times it's all over town. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes her blue jeans blue. I believe you're the only one wearing it right now. So that's what we use it for now. When Eliza got the seeds, she didn't know what to do with them. She had to learn from her servants and slaves how to keep it cultivated. It's not always hot here. When she learned how to keep it going, she learned how to make the dye, moved it to a cash crop plantation, got a hold of her dad and said, rice plantations are going downhill. We're going to make a killing with the indigo. And we now have an international businesswoman during colonial times. Something absolutely unheard of. You got to see me during Women's History Month. We talked about a lot of strong women on this route. But anyway, that's the weird stuff. Let's get into the weird stuff. What I'm going to do is, based on your communication devices, I'm going to kind of give you a series of questions to focus on. Again, if you're not getting answers directly, that's okay. That's why I like to use so many different communication devices. So you might ask a question, Ray might get the answer, or it might go to my voice recorder or the audio of the camera. We never know where it's going to go. Your TV shows, and I'm sure you two can attest, they normally put up one spirit box on the screen and wait. I hate that method because you never know where it's going to go. So, with yours specifically, you get a lot more different answers than she would get, so you're going to focus on Eliza's death. Okay. So she's pretty open about talking about it. You can ask how old she was, what she died from, where she's buried, what president was a pallbearer at her funeral. Yeah, if that doesn't tell you how important she was, I don't know what's going to.
Yeah.
With yours, you have two sets of questions that you're going to basically be working with. The first one is going to be, where's the mansion? What happened to it? Obviously, it's some kind of tragedy because it's no longer here. If you get the what, we normally get the when. When I say when, that's a date. So again, we normally get 2 or 3 numbers, and your word list generator, the one on your left hand, will actually spell out numbers for you. So again, it will give you numbers if you ask and get the right answers. So again, we normally get 2 or 3 numbers out of that date, and it's very specific. It's not like January 1st of 2001, where we're going to get 111. It's very specific numbers. So kind of keep that in mind as well. The other thing you can ask about, obviously, with the Envoy, the Ouija board device, I'll call it the Ouija board because it's much easier for everybody to remember. Look for her initials, ELP. The reason why is because Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles back to back. Yeah, kind of scandalous at the same time. First wife dies in January. 5 months later, he marries the one we just talked about.
Oh.
Yeah, kind of a jerk move if you really think about it.
I just heard Lincoln.
Nope,
But
it wasn't
that's not,
Lincoln.
Obviously.
Yep. One at a time is not Lincoln. You got it. So.
But it said Lincoln.
Yeah, it said Lincoln though,
Yeah,
didn't
but
it?
that's not, I mean, I didn't think it was Lincoln, but it's interesting.
Then it did come up that way, right?
Yeah, it was just, yeah.
Your other device may give you the maiden name of either Eliza, considering they both start with the letter L. So he married 2 women named Eliza L, and then he turned them into a Pinckney. So again, kind of an interesting fun fact about Eliza L. Pinckney is that there's 2 of them. So we will get the maiden name of either one of them, depending on how it wants to come up. So we will spread out in this location. We're going to stay away from vehicles. Luckily tonight we're not super packed in the lot. We actually got some space like up towards the front. But I'll be taking notes as I kind of bounce around from person to person. You had a 31.7. Is that what the number was?
Yeah.
See, I'm pretty good at remembering stuff. So, but again, I'm going to be bouncing around so that way, again, you guys are probably going to be working together. You two are probably going to be working together. This way you don't know what they're finding and so forth and so on.
Okay.
Then what will happen is I'll regroup us back here. I usually tell Eliza we're going to be very brief in these locations. I'll explain why before we leave the space. But again, I'll probably do 1 to 2 round robins, just considering the size of the group. And then I'll pull us back and give you all the answers. I'm not going to leave you hanging and show you how all the puzzle pieces actually fit together.
Okay.
All right, so let's spread out. Let's have some fun.
Thanks.
Let's do this. All right. By the way, Miss Ray, your name will be easy to remember because that's my youngest daughter's middle name. So it's
It's my middle
R-A-E.
name. Yeah, it's my middle name too.
So her name is London Ray, which means wise protector of the fortress of the moon. So your Ray means wise protector. So whatever Shelby means is wise protector of that.
The Willow Grove.
What's that?
Willow Grove or Estate by the Cliff.
I thought you were named after the car.
I was named after the car.
But it's the actual meaning
Oh,
of
okay.
it. Like,
My bad.
The actual, like, where the name actually stemmed from. So let me show you that Ouija board a little bit further. So whenever you get a full row, which you probably already have, yes.
I've
See how
gotten
it,
like 3 of them.
okay, so whenever you get a full row, it's going to start overwriting each letter, right? So you take the big dial up here, and you turn it down to 6 o'clock, going counterclockwise, and then go back up to 9 o'clock. And that gives you a nice, fresh, clean slate, so that way we're not getting false positives.
Okay.
So if you can't make anything out of it with spellings or anagrams, based on what you know about the space, feel free to go ahead and refresh it. Again, you're in charge of it. I don't need to look at every single row and say, hey, do you see something? It's okay. You're in charge. It's your night. Have some fun with it. I do want to take a quick look at your work list just to see what else we have. Yeah, a whole lot of nothing. I will check to see if Big John served in the Army. I don't know that he did or didn't off the top of my head, so that's probably the only thing that would be relevant, if it is, but I'll definitely dive in. But yeah, you're a videographer, so have some fun with it. I usually pick the one of the quietest people to do that, so that way we don't have a full commentary. I don't listen to it anyway. I actually put it on mute, so that way I can focus on the visuals.
I've mostly just been getting like middle shots with like people's ankles and stuff in them.
And that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
And again, I mean, it's your video. I mean, I'm going to spot check it to see like if there was anything actually caught with it. But at the same time, everybody's going to want to see how that actually turned out. And if I do find something in it, then you're going to have the markers of where I found it. And then if it's a really cool clip, I'm going to carve it out so I can use it for social media.
Okay, cool.
Like that's how I roll. So, but yeah, with your particular camera, it's not always. I'm like, hey, how's that camera work going? So don't get discouraged if I'm following up with the communication people more.
Yeah,
just because again, with this one, it's smaller. I am actually getting ready to upgrade that to an iPad.
Cool.
So because our SLS camera is on an iPad and it works out phenomenally, like unexpectedly phenomenal. But with this one, it does take a little bit more time to upload. Whereas with the iPad, it'll be in like 5 minutes and it'll be up on YouTube and I can watch it.
Okay.
But again, you're going to take several videos tonight. I just splice them all together so that way you guys have one full video.
Cool.
But yeah, spread out. Let's have some fun.
All right.
Ask some questions.
Right, can I see your work list?
Here's the best of silly. Army follow-up benefit decline stuff in press composition. Lazy buddy pick has never cut past
Yeah.
You walk ahead of me. I'm trying to. I'll get you in the shot. Thank you. For reference. Spots on the ground. That's a car. Whoops. You asking questions?
No, not yet. I'm trying to think of a good question to ask.
What happened to the mansion?
Line.
So we'll clear out the line.
Thank you. I am blind.
These lights motion sensor? I think they are. The fuck? I think the light's a motion sensor. I can't. I don't know. It scared me.
Alright,
Who carried, who was the pallbearer, what president was the pallbearer at your funeral? If that's okay to ask. Volkswagen?
President Volkswagen. Alright.
That light.
Keep pointing your camera.
I'm pointing your. This light over here keeps coming on. I think it's motion sensors. Oh, that's a good shot, actually. Move back up a little bit. Oh, it is motion sensor.
Just got to know right now.
What do you ask?
The only thing that would be a yes or no would be, are you singing? Because I got a couple that rhyme.
Hey, we got grain.
Experiment.
There's a barn over there.
Oh. Okay.
Maybe that's reaching though.
What happened?
Alright, what do we have going on?
Nothing much, really.
That you know of.
That we know.
Rain chain.
Rain chain. We got wave and chain, back to back, and then a couple seconds.
We also have grain experiment. If you look at it as a phrase, but you have to remember that Eliza was a botanist at heart, so she would have done experiments with different types of plants. So I know grain is something very specific, but I have to look at it sometimes as a whole sentence or a phrase to kind of see what else is popping up. Any letters here that I need to know about? No ELP coming up at all?
No.
What else has been on there since last we talked?
Refrigerator.
Refrigerator. Yeah, they didn't have refrigerators back then. All right. All right. I do like grain experiment. Like, I know it seems weird, but that is something that I wouldn't normally see on there. So to me, those two go together hand in hand for our location. But yeah, that Ouija board device, hopefully you can get some activity out of it. I will say, 2 weeks ago, we actually had 4 terms come out of it all night long, which is actually a lot. So normally we get like one solid piece. And it's like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. But then we had 4 all in one night, like spelled out words. Like, that's not common for that device, as I'm sure you can tell. Like, it's just random letters. I will tell you that Morgan's EMF is like through the roof right now. It's up to 54. So she's gotten all the way up to, she's had some 40s and a 54s, I think, and then she had that 65 at the beginning. So again, there's something going on here tonight. I'm just hoping that it's going to come through. So I'll give you guys a few more minutes before I kind of give all the answers out here, because I took Crystal away from listening in. You're like the big fanatic here, I take it, right? Yeah. Are you familiar with the Estes method?
Maybe.
Either you are or you aren't. If it's not,
Yeah.
okay, we'll just say you're not. So just want to kind of get everybody's kind of feel for this, because that's part of like what we're going to be doing at the end, but I took it to a whole different extreme. So it's going to be a blast. Can't wait to see how this is actually going to go. But yeah, I'm actually really excited about this. You guys are going to freak out a little bit. Sorry, I get excited.
I know where we're parked, obviously.
Words come up and they mean nothing.
My grandpa would have loved stuff like this.
Lots of people having fun.
It's a car, we don't want that. Round eventually.
How do people leave it out their kids' sippy cup?
I don't know.
Anything strange going on with that guy?
Not really.
Just show you a piece of evidence while they're listening in that actually came from that camera. Might help you, give you an idea of what I look for. Find the folder.
And then
Gotta find the album. I have an evidence album in here, but it will kind of give you an idea. This was actually an 8-year-old girl that was using the camera that night.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and she didn't know what she was capturing. She just knew that, like, when I gave it back to him, I know she freaked out a little bit. And I verified it with another camera we were using that the person wasn't there. Here is my evidence photo. There it is. So, come on. So, this is kind of a series of events here. So, we're looking at this person right here off in the distance, completely blue. They get closer and closer and closer, closer still, and then, oh, that one was completely different. But this was, I don't know if you could like kind of see that shape of a person.
Yeah.
I don't know where the rest of the photos are. Like, it's like right up next to the camera.
That's crazy.
Yeah, this one with the video, this was actually here. If you look behind my group of folks there, you'll see 3 figures kind of grow cold behind them. Let me see if I can turn it sideways if it'll take it. Come on. But it grows cold behind them. You see the 3 people standing back there? It's right at the end. But yeah, watch behind. They'll go up in a second. There they are.
Oh, yeah.
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 3 full people that weren't there before.
That's crazy.
And it was right here, literally. So I recognize it because I watch this, these videos all the time on, as far as the nightly pieces. All right, I say we wrap everything up and kind of see what we got going on here. Any other numbers or words coming up out of your head?
Got anything, Ray?
I asked her what kind of friends she recommended, and she said flowers.
I am excited. It's probably one of the best ones we've had. You didn't get any names that popped up when you asked about the president? Nothing
You
specific?
know, it's funny.
Is that in the
I
video?
didn't get any names,
Okay.
but
Okay.
it's the lead town in the lobby.
You say Bell?
No.
Interesting. Just keep in mind there's somebody behind you, but you don't look like you're doing anything, so you're perfectly fine. She's like perfect for that job over there.
Quiet.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, I almost forgot the 2 of you were there. I'm like, where did they go? I had to turn around a few times just to make sure you guys didn't run off. So it's probably like assassins, ninjas running around with my equipment somewhere.
Fire life.
I know, right? Well, they're all in black, so who knows? They could have been dropping out of ceilings.
Yeah.
So every ghost store comes down here. This is called Philadelphia Alley, but it used to be called Jeweler's Alley. So don't let me forget to write down the Jesus and Lord piece that you guys heard. So Morgan, for your device, your baseline is going to be about a 7, just because we do have lampposts near us, and they will give off that EMF. So it's almost like the electrical meters, the parking meters, same kind of principle. So anything above a 7 at this point. So Jeweler's Alley. Every ghost store tells the exact same story. You're going to hear it a little bit differently from me because we're not doing campfire marshmallow stuff. We're getting into some details so you guys know what the heck you're actually looking for tomorrow morning. I will withhold a few things, but if it pops up in my spot check, obviously you'll have a link of where I got my information from. So here's how the story goes, and I wanted to use the Ouija board specifically tonight because of this location. I had a group before last night because there was another cancellation, and I forgot to use the Ouija board. So I don't bring it out every night, but again, I'll tell you why in just a moment. There's a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. If you hear the song Brown Eyed Girl, it's not coincidence. We get it all the time. It's part of his name. He's from Rhode Island. We look for the initials RI in here under Ouija board. It's going to be relevant in one of 2 ways. You'll realize in just a second. But anyway, doctor moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with all of this cash. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money. He tells Amanda, get rid of the doctor. So Dr. Ladd moves to Charleston to basically prove that he's not after her money. The coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a good start. However, somebody was walking by. His name is Ralph Isaacs. I'm going to stop there because he has the same initials as where the doctor came from. We were getting the letters RI all the time on your spirit box as somebody spelling something out. So I wanted to verify it. We bought the Ouija board device because those are specific letters, right? I will tell you in the 6 months that I've had that, I can probably count up to one hand of how many times when I'm telling this part of the story where RI has popped up on the Ouija board on cue. So take that for what it's worth. But anyway, Ralph tells you can if you want. Let's see if we can get anything out of it. Remember, you're in charge. I'm just giving you advice. So Ralph tells the doctor, dude, you don't want to stay here. I know this guy. He's got a gunman inside. He's going to try to kill you. Just come with me. I got some friends at 59 Church Street. You can rent a room. You'll be safe and good to go. Doctor took him up on the offer. They became friends. The longer the doctor stays in Charleston, the more money he's making. He's proving his point that he wasn't after Amanda's money. So Amanda gets wind of this. She's moving down so they can get married. Dr. Ladd became known as the Whistling Doctor. Men whistled all the time in the 1780s. Here's what I'll also tell you. Any haunted city you're ever going to visit has a cliched whistling ghost. We have one too. However, there's proof of this one, and hopefully we're going to capture some tonight. However, here's how the rest of it goes. Dr. Ladd and Ralph go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. He gets better seats. That's the hierarchy of Charleston. So, sounded like a vehicle was coming through the alleyway. I was like, what the hell's going on? But anyway, they go see Richard III one night. They're arguing over the new actress that was in town. Dr. Ladd thought she was great. Ralph didn't. Ralph then starts insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. It gets pretty ugly. They go their separate ways. Ralph has friends all over town, including the newspaper. He goes to see them, places an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a, you're a disgrace to society, slap, slap with a glove kind of mentality. doctor saw the ad, but rebutted with, let's just go to Dueler's Alley. Let's settle this once and for all. All this started over an actress, by the way, just going to point that out. So the two of them came down, they took their 10 paces, they turned, the doctor points his gun in the air, and he shot his one shot from his flintlock. He didn't want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight. Ralph has one bullet. He has not shot it yet. He puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. Dr. Ladd doesn't die either, but he drops to the ground. His friends picked him up, took him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later on November 2nd of 1786 after refusing medical treatment. Let me point out something. It's 1786. Gunshot wounds are a lot different than what we know of them now. He probably tried to bleed this out himself because he is a doctor. It was probably the lead poisoning he was worried about more so than the gunshot wound killing him. So, with that said, every ghost tour will tell you, listen for the whistles while you're down here. What I will tell you, we're using my voice recorder, and we have an audio camera over there that's actually recording audio. So if the whistle's going to be there, it's going to be between me and Andre showing up. However, the rest of you using communication devices, we've seen the word whistle show up. We've heard whistling on the spirit boxes before, along with the word doctor following it shortly thereafter. We've had other terms that show up around the whistling ghost. We get it here all the time. So kind of keep that in mind. Now, I will tell you that if you're going to come down here on your own and go all the way through the alley, I can't take you all the way through, and I'm going to explain in a minute because I've actually been kicked out of here. We're going to talk about that because that's the fun part of the story. But anyway, turn on your voice recorders and see if you guys can hear the whistles later. What I will tell you is that every local knows a story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street is going to whistle down the alley. We all do it. I do it every single night. So, here's how I got booted out of here. A little bit more history. This should also show you how I kind of piece things together. This wasn't always Dueler's Alley, and it didn't always go all the way through this way. There was a wall up there, halfway between us and Cumberland Street. The reason why is because Cumberland Street was the original Charlestown Wall. That's where it stood. So there was a wall, another one, in the alleyway, because this is where they kept the livestock for the city of Charleston. So it was called Cow Alley back then, before it was Dueler's Alley. However, that means the bricks on the other side are older than the bricks we're standing on. What does that mean for you? Those are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint down there, along with some fingerprint swipes and other bricks. I used to go down that way when I first started doing this, and I will tell you that I treat that brick the same way I do a grave. That kid's not there. That's the last place you're going to find them. I only went down there to show it off because we all need to see how far we've come away from slavery. You guys picked up, I'm all about history, right? So, November 26th of 2020, I took my group down there, or all huddled around that brick waiting for something to happen. I'm trying to shoot them along because nothing is going to happen. Secondly, it's because it's outside the kitchen window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. I was trying to be respectful to the home, not knowing I was out of bounds for tours. The new owner of the mansion came out screaming. My daughter thought it was great because she was on the tour that night and her dad's getting yelled at. We moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I don't tour on Thanksgiving simply because I worked in higher retail management, like upper management for Walmart mainly, for almost 20 years. I'm not doing Thanksgiving ever again. So, with that, the next day was November 28th. The dates are relevant. I'm going to get to it. I got a hold of my partner that I had at the time who was teaching me the tourism laws and all that stuff, and I told him what happened. He's like, dude, you can't go down that far. We're only allowed to go down halfway. So I said, okay, what do I do? He's like, take them down halfway or reroute the group. So it's Black Friday. I got a full house again. I told my team, I don't believe in the next story, but we're going to have to reroute. And the reason I don't believe in it is because I'm a vampire guy, not a pirate person. We're going to be talking about pirates next, in case you didn't pick up on that. But anyway, before we left, somebody heard the name Anne on a spirit box. I did not tell them who we were going to be investigating, the famous female pirate Anne Bonny. So I went, oh shit, maybe we have something going on. We left, we go around the corner. I told them what little bit I was able to research that day about pirates, which wasn't much. And then somebody else heard the number 300 on a different spirit box. I don't know what it means, I write it down. The next day I research it. We were there November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy, November 28th of 1720. The exact 300th anniversary of her pirate trial. Now all of you got jaw drops, which is normally the expectation that I get out of you guys. I will tell you, I was pissed. Here's why. I have a master's degree in creative writing. I like facts and data, especially when I'm doing things like this. So, pirate stories are based off of pirate lore. You know how many books I had to read on pirates to make sure what I'm telling you on the next location is accurate as I possibly can make it, because we're investigating? We need legitimate information. So again, we make the worst case scenario, by the way, the next location is a hit or miss location because she's said to be seen all over town. But in the event we get something out of it, it came out of a minimum of 2 resources. So you'll always get one of my resources when you guys are getting your data back. But again, it's a hit or miss, but you're going to learn a whole hell of a lot of things about pirates that you didn't know before. Again, it's a very interesting tale for sure. So, have we gotten anything on there? I heard that thing going off like crazy, by the way.
What about I think while we were talking about the bar stuff, I got
Okay. Very interesting. So nothing on this guy at all that I can see. I see a JB, but there's too many letters like around it. We don't have like the Joseph Brown lad for all three initials, which would be like JBL. We also don't have that RI in there anywhere. So, Crystal, did you hear anything at all? I know it's hard to listen to me and that at the same time.
It's okay.
So, again, it's a nightly thing, so I don't always expect you guys to be able to tell me what you've heard because you're focused on the piece of history. Last thing before we leave, because I know videography is not so exciting in this location, the gate behind me, there's another reason why I stopped here. Remember I told you that the alley didn't go all the way through? When this was Dueler's Alley, this was the shortcut to get to the cemetery when there was a loser to the duel. There wasn't always a loser, like in the story that I told you. Otherwise, if this gate wasn't here, or at least the archway, they'd have to go all the way down to Queen Street and double back with a dead body. Like, that just stalls you from going to celebrate with the winner with a pint. So, the wrought iron, by the way, was probably put there in the early 1900s. Like, you're going to be going to school here. You're going to learn all kinds of shit about this. But this was probably put here early 1900s, but if you look at the archway, it's definitely part of the original wall.
Okay.
So, very interesting piece. Not a whole lot of people know why it's actually there. And I still can't even find where I got that piece of resource, but I've been saying it for 4 years now, since I've been giving it to her.
You've seen it somewhere. You
I
read
did.
it somewhere.
And my daughter laughs at me every time. She's like, Dad, where's that little nugget of information? I'm like, quit saying nugget. She's like, well, you're the one who said it first. So, but anyway, my daughter's a smart ass, and again, yeah, imagine that, right?
Yeah.
But she's about
How
to
old's
turn,
your daughter?
my youngest is about to turn 17.
Okay.
So she's the one that's usually on the
That's the
tour.
one that's the smart ass?
Yeah. Well, both of them are, but
Okay.
Mosquito.
the other one's 22.
Okay.
But yeah, the 17-year-old, she's the one that's down here. She lives in Myrtle Beach with her mom.
Okay.
So when she's down here for the weekend, she's usually out here on the tours. But she would actually like hanging out with you guys. Like, she would actually, what's funny is I can normally pinpoint like when she can like draw people out of things. Like, you guys are really quiet. Like, she would draw all three of you out of like whatever, quietness you got going on. So, but are we ready to go learn about some rated R pirates? Paragraph. Again, we're gonna go talk about the pirates anyway, so let's go do this. Pirate!
Keep getting torn up by mosquitoes.
Me too.
I can feel them landing on me.
I don't feel them land on me, but I do feel them bite me.
Sorry, that's why I slapped the shit in my leg earlier. Don't step on that.
Bottle. Alright, I'm gonna turn that shoddy down. I almost ran into that.
How's our word list and crazy word and letters coming?
UXL, and then on this one we got an FG right back to back. Envelope, surround, thick, blog, and install.
Blog is definitely not a term from the 1700s that we're discussing.
No.
Come to think of it, we're only going to discuss one person from the 1800s tonight. Everything else is 1700s. That's pretty crazy. I don't think I've ever put that together.
sweater tension.
No, she wanted some Advil,
Oh.
and I had like
Okay.
one. Her back's hurting.
Gotcha.
She walked a million miles.
You want to sit down? There's a spot to sit down in here. Okay. Again, I expect headaches on a night like tonight with the high K index and the humidity. So, are you guys feeling okay?
Yeah.
So, I know we're all a little bit sweaty, but we're going to move to the back.
Here's another one.
Beautiful night for hyperhidrosis.
Okay.
Okay. Did you ask something directly? No? Alright. So this space, a lot of tours cut through here, which is why we're back here, because what they'll do is they'll go in through that entrance and then they'll go over to the church. This used to be like the last stop, but again, I change it up every year. Our next location is our last stop, but again, I take out one space and add a new one every year. The Pinckney Mansion site, where we first started, like the first location, was going to be taken out this year just because I was getting a lot of disrespectful ghost hunters on the tour, and they were being very disrespectful, and we had some really nasty messages starting to come through. So as I was toying around with new routes, like I took that out, but I'm still drawn to it because nobody goes there. Like so, but you heard, I don't want to know. But everybody comes here to talk about the Powder magazine. We're going to be discussing it too, but in a much different fashion. So the Powder magazine actually held gunpowder for 7 different wars. It's a museum now, so if you ever need to get it out of our heat or cold, it's a great $5 to spend on a ticket. And it will teach you about the architecture of the building, which I still find fascinating. Sorry, this is where I get a chance to take it off the 20-pound bag that I didn't get to empty everything out of. And by the way, the next location, Audrey, you're going to swap cameras with me. Like, we're going to give you a different camera for that particular location because of what we're going to be doing.
Okay.
But anyway, those are not crosses on the building, by the way. Those are earthquake bolts. They should have told you about that on your horse carriage ride. Earthquake bolts, in a nutshell, are turnbuckles. So if we have another earthquake like what we did in 1886, you can turn them, it'll tighten the building, and doesn't incur any further damage. It's a great idea. Did they tell you that doesn't work?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they're on pretty much most of our buildings as part of the Charleston charm. You can even see them on the apartment building behind the Powder magazine. You guys may have seen them in lion heads and pineapples and all kinds of decorative bullshit kind of stuff around town. It's just part of our Charleston charm. Yeah. But that's actually part of the reason why we're here, are those earthquake bolts. Those are the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston ever put in. The reason why is because that's the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. We're here because this building was being constructed at the same time that Anne Bonny came here to start a new life. You guys watch the TV shows, you've seen that Boo Buddy, the teddy bear, where they actually use that to attract child ghosts. It's got a K2 meter built into it, so it blinks when a child gets close to it. They do that on purpose to try to, it's something they're familiar with. It's the same type of principle. Anne would recognize this building. It's what I call a familiar. Okay, so again, 50-50 shot that she's going to be here the same time we are. Fingers crossed that she will be. Now, the building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years? No, not at all. But anyway, our history begins right in the middle of that construction. So 1708, a young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormac. She comes here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. Is everybody with me so far? There's a couple of weird twists in this. So the three of them are running away from her father's angry wife. How mad was the wife that they left Ireland by boat? That didn't sound good because that was a horse carriage. Oh, there's a garbage guy in the garage. I was like, wait a minute, that didn't sound good at all. Yeah, it's humid out here. I wonder, anyway. But anyway, they land in Georgetown when they come here. So Georgetown is between us and Myrtle Beach. Dad bought a plantation. Mom dies pretty quickly. That means Dad is sending young Anne down here to sell anything from the plantation to keep things afloat. Hence the familiar building. Now, Anne back home in Ireland was said to be a badass even back then. They say at the age of 7, 8, 9 years old, they say she killed a servant with a knife to the belly. So again, hardcore chick here. And I say 7, 8, 9 because every story tells a different number. It's pirate lore, like I said. Anyway, fast forward, the building's done in 13. By 1715, pirates are starting to come through Charlestown. Anne's pretty stoked. Why? She's going to fall in love so she can earn her freedom, just like a man. It's a man's world at this point. First guy she falls in love with, and I said first because there's a handful, and we're going to go through every one of them because that's what makes the story interesting. First guy is James Bonny. You already see where this one's going, right? So Dad didn't approve, filthy pirates, they run away to Jamaica, they got married, and Cormac is now Anne Bonny, famous female pirate. However, James Bonny is not Captain Jack Sparrow, like what she was hoping for. This guy turns out to be a privateer. He's a spy for the British. He's a coward. This is not who she wants. She falls in love again. A few years go by. This is guy number 2, John Rackham. Everybody calls him Calico Jack. This is the guy they based your Johnny Depp character off of, in case you were wondering who this guy actually is. Calico Jack has his own ship, he has his own crew, and wants to be part of the crew, but you can't put a female on a pirate ship because it's bad luck. So I would normally give that question back to you, but I'm not really sure how old Morgan is, and we don't want to get into the raunchy answers that I normally get back. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and look like the crew, you can be part of it, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. She's okay with this. Why? Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy apprentice back home in Ireland to hide her from his wife. She gets it. It's a man's world. But most of us are adults here, at least old enough to understand that when 2 people are together in the same room, somebody's going to end up pregnant. As did happen to Anne. So, obviously, can't have any pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl, and then Jack's going to get voted off the ship as captain. He drops her off in Cuba before she starts the show. Have the baby over here, come back later. We'll figure it out. She goes and has the baby, returns with no baby. We have no idea what happened to the child. By the way, none of my reading has ever found it. None of it has ever been disclosed in any way, shape, or form. Weird thing about this part of the story is that she's dressed like a female. Everybody now knows that, at least Jack is angry because everybody's going to figure out that he let a girl on the ship. While she was gone giving birth to his child, he captured another pirate crew. They're down below deck. She's going to go flirting with that pirate crew so she can make Jack even more angry. So, with that, guy number 3 is where we're at. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy, to be part of the pirate crew.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
What?
The guy she's flirting with from the crew turns out to be a female,
Wow.
dressed like a guy, to be part of the crew that Calico Jack
Wow.
captured. Yeah. So we have 2 females dressed like males on the same ship. Her name is Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. So her and Mary became friends, possibly lovers. We're not going to really know for sure. But the British find out where they are. They send a fleet of ships to come take down one pirate ship. Rumor is that Anne and Mary were the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with 1 bullet flintlocks, and that's obviously not going to work out too well because they don't know how to use cannons yet. They haven't been pirates for very long. So as they're being arrested, because that's what happened, she looks at her captain, Calico Jack, and says, "I'm so sorry to see you here, but if you would have fought like a man, you wouldn't be hanged like a dog." The word dog shows up a lot. I've even had people say that they've heard dogs barking on their spirit boxes as we enter before they know the story. So take that for what it is. The judge wants to see the 2 quote-unquote men that fought back so valiantly on their own after he's tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunk pirates that wouldn't fight. They're dead and gone. And Mary go in front, reveal their gender. He doesn't give a shit that they're female. They're trying to save themselves. They're still pirates in his eyes. "We plead our bellies," was what they shouted, because you can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging. Dad is still up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne, brings her back home to South Carolina, and she remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4, because we're going to count Mary. We don't really know. She has 4 kids, dies at the age of 84. Yes, very abrupt, because we don't know jack shit about her after her pirate career. Mary Reed dies 5 months later in that Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. Most books would tell you it was fever. I'm going to call BS on that one and say let's make it romantic and call it scurvy. Why the hell not? We're talking pirates. So, here's the things I left out of here. This is fair game. This is not a prominent English woman where we have to tip around. This is where I normally say know your ghost. We got to kind of poke the bear a little bit on Anne to make sure she's here for sure. The details I left out purposely, the names of her parents. That's the father and his mistress. So you can ask what those things are. They normally show up in one swoop. We're only using one thing on it.
Will.
It was William.
Wow, it's a Will.
Yep, there we go.
Wow.
We got one. Let's figure out what the other one is.
So crazy.
The other piece of this is I left out the name of Calico Jack's ship on purpose so you had something to ask. The name of the city where Anne grew up in Ireland, I didn't tell you what that was yet. The color of her hair, which that one's easy, that's red. I normally give that to those that are struggling with the spirit box by listening to it because they need a 1-syllable answer. So that's kind of something that they can actually look for. But again, anything else you want to ask about the baby, I can't prove it, but if you get a direct answer, that's your personal experience. So again, kind of take these things for what they are. Trying to think around this space. Oh, Morgan, you're really the only one I need to explain your device to. I don't expect a whole lot in here. However, we did get a 20 in here last night, which is kind of crazy. The closer you go that way, we have parking meters on the other side of the bushes. You may get up to a 3 to a 7, and then we have electrical poles in the corners. It may go all the way up to a 12. It's normally on this back half where I get excited about EMF showing up. Everybody else, it's fair game. We're going to spread out. I'm going to let you guys work. I'm actually going to go step to the wall and go have a quick smoke and not bother you guys while you're working. And then I'll start hauling you guys in to see what you guys found. What do you have?
Wait.
L-E-E?
L-E-E-W.
There's no way. What do you have before the Lee?
Nothing. It was just straight L-E-E and then I have a W-E after that. and then on this one,
What do you have on there?
lure.
Like L-U-R-E?
Leewer,
Or like leeward?
like leeward.
Like leeward way.
Tiny.
That's a pirate term.
Oh, is that real?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like leeward way. Like they would follow the compass and say
Yeah.
leeward way.
No way. Oh,
I got
no.
I got leeward.
Spell it exactly for me again. L-E-E.
Like starboard.
Lewert.
It would be A-R-D for leeward, is what I would be looking for, but I'm going to underline the lee part just to see if something else pops up that has never popped up in any of my investigations ever, but there is something relative to a person named Lee, relatively nearby, that I've never had anything else pop up before. So we're going to see if something else pops up to kind of verify it, and then again, there's like literally like 15 stories on this corner. That's why I only go with the pirates. Like, that's it. I want to see if something else is going to pop up. This is where things may take a little bit of a turn. Again, we'll see what happens. Anything on the word list that I need to know about?
I've got, when we were up there, we got tension, flow, active, sibling, double, they're into acceptance and tiny.
Yeah, a whole lot of nothing. Great, another tour just invaded us. Did I say that out loud? I did. But yeah,
We didn't hear it.
stay out of their way. Definitely don't film them. You got the
Okay.
point.
Yep.
You guys have actually been really easy to work with, so it's kind of nice. I don't have to like yell at people.
Emma!
Emma?
You have to ask him about that.
Okay.
Was Emma the name of your father's mistress? Of your mom?
They said don't ask yes or no questions.
You're right. I'm goofy.
What was your father's name?
I think we already got that one for the.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, I think it was Will.
Whoops. You always say, like, where are you from?
Oh yeah, you're right. That would. Where are you from?
Or what was your profession?
Piracy.
What was the name of Calico Jack's ship?
That would be interesting. Anything with Emma?
Could be one of the kids' names. I just can't prove it. We get names here all the time, but we're also standing next to a cemetery. There's a cemetery on the other side of this wall, so it could be somebody just kind of trickling back over a little bit. Actually, John Calhoun is buried in here. You're going to need to know that because you're going to be down here.
Yeah.
Our 7th vice president.
Okay.
He's a big deal down here. That everybody hates him. He's a
Okay.
racist. So you're
And
in
they
the
have a
South.
street named after him?
Yeah.
Damn.
They actually just took down his monument. That was during the Black Lives Matter
Yeah.
movement going on down here. We had a 100-foot statue of him at Marion Square. So they took it down.
Yeah.
I haven't been over there since they actually, well, it's probably been about a year since I've been over there. But it was just kind of like an open grass, like they were starting to plant the grass where that monument used to be. It was giant.
Yeah.
Inside the base of it, which was really interesting because the base was probably 15 foot all the way around, so 15 by 15 all the way across, so it was pretty large. But there was a time capsule in there, had a piece of John Calhoun's hair, had some money from his time period, some documents signed by him. Like, it was really interesting. They did a big thing on the news about it.
Yeah.
But that monument, they didn't destroy it. They just didn't disclose where they're sending it.
Okay.
Because I'm friends with the people that actually own that land.
Okay.
So I was kind of like probing, like, what are they doing with the
Yeah.
monument, buddy? And he's like, I can't say. So it's undisclosed. But he is in a sarcophagus on the other side of this.
Okay.
So, and they leave this cemetery open during the daytime because whenever there's a president involved, buried somewhere, they actually have to leave it open for the public to go see.
Okay.
So, might be, and it's a beautiful graveyard. So, but yeah, just something, if you're going to be going to school here, you're going to hear about it. especially if you take any other tour, they're going to tell you, because he was buried on the other side of the street, that's for native Charlestonians only. So he's not from here, so they had to shuffle him until they figured out where he was supposed to go. The sarcophagus is a coffin above ground. That's the big cement. So basically, take 8 to 12 men, pick it up, and move it across the street.
Jeez.
So that's basically what happened with him several times, because they didn't know where he was supposed to go. But where are you from again?
Valdosta, Georgia.
Okay, so you're not going to be too far.
Yeah.
What's weird is my daughter is moving from South Carolina down to Georgia when she goes to school. She's going to SCAD.
Oh, cool. My friend Hudson's going there, too.
Yeah, she's super
The
stoked.
Atlanta campus?
No, Savannah campus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were just down there last month to go visit the school for the first time, and she fell in love with it, so
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's where she's going to end up. I know she's looking at CFC down here because they have the same program. I just don't think she's going to get out of it what she would get out of it out of SCAD.
Yeah.
She's going into costuming and clothing design.
Okay.
She works with drama. She loves creating costumes for time periods and things like that.
That's really cool.
So I really think she's going to get more out of SCAD than she would out of CFC with this kind of program, because it's more
Probably.
artsy.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's pretty stoked. And by the time she gets her ass in school, I'll probably be leaving South Carolina. My wife is she's going to be starting her PhD program to become a vet.
Okay.
And there's not many programs in the country for that, so we're going to have to move to Louisiana.
Okay.
So I'll be near New Orleans to do this.
Cool.
So I've never been, but I'm super stoked.
Yeah.
Cannot wait. But that's, if she can get into that school, that's where we'll be heading in about 1.5 years. She's got to wrap up her master's. What are you going to school for, by the way? I'm sitting here talking about me.
I'm going to be a biology major.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what made you want to get into that?
I'm hoping to be a radiologist eventually.
Okay.
So I'd have to do like pre-med route.
Yeah.
Chose bio instead of biochem or something more difficult.
Well, you're in the right area to do all of that with MUSC nearby and all of that stuff too. So
Yeah.
you basically have a job as soon as you get out.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. Education's important. I highly believe in it.
Yep.
All right, let me see what they got going on with theirs. Ray, you got anything?
I was asking about and I got Pay and Help Us back to back. I got Black Destruction and Black is
And here we see a flock of drunkards walking down the street. If you can hear them. I should be one of those National Geographic videographers of college or something like that.
insects. Yes, there are a lot of them.
Temperature. This way we have a bunch of drunk people on a golf cart. This way. We're gonna turn around like it did. Just do that. I really hope they don't come over here. See what Ray's up to. How you sucking, B?
How are you fighting me?
Damn, even in death, my fucking dad doesn't show up. The one time we had equipment. Hey, we were talking about the destruction of that monument.
Where were you left to have your baby?
What I want to know is why she stabbed the servant at 789.
637. D. Oh, well, with things like this, you have to spell it out. Right.
What the hell is it telling me?
In 6 feet left, right? What was your mother's name?
Fuck!
Let's get away from the truck. Let's move up this way.
Good lord. Dry. I am dry. I'm sorry. I'm not a good conversationalist.
Cool. Is that like one of those ones with the fancy sensors on it? Or is...
I'm sorry. I know I'm dry.
There's nothing piratey going on. What do you have now? Do you have A, B, MR, anything?
I have dry.
Dry?
Dry.
What's weird is she had the word rain.
Oh, I had past, retired, insects, us, light, and equal after.
Equal would make sense with the whole female trying to be a male thing, right? It's vague. But if you got the word dry spelled out, I mean, that's a word being spelled out. I know it's only 3 letters. It could also be doctor without the Y, and we're near Philadelphia Alley. So again, it is one of those pieces where it's vague, but I would need something else. So whatever pops up out of the recording, I'll kind of determine how it's relevant. If it's going to be the word dry, we just have that Y as an interference with the word doctor. I don't know. So again, it's all very vague. And no readings whatsoever besides a 2.3. Yeah, I'm not even going to go for writing that one down. So Audrey, you can go ahead and shut your camera.